Okay. I've got like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. All right, I have no minutes. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay, so Thomas, whenever you're ready, I guess for the people here, I will do a short intro on you, and I know it will not do you any justice, so feel free to take it over whenever you can. But hi everyone. I just realized I'm not even on camera. Okay, sorry. So, hi everyone. I'm super excited to introduce to you our first workshop and host of the day. So, Thomas Winkley. Thomas is a technical marketing advocate. He's been with Unity for almost 2 years now, so that's been a long time, a lot of experiences under his belt. And today he'll be leading a workshop on prototyping in Unity. So, Thomas, the stage is yours. That was a bad intro. I'm so sorry. So feel free to.
Yeah, it was perfect. Thank you so much. Hey everybody. So please like yell in the chat a lot because doing virtual presentations, you'll notice that I can't see you. I can see that there's this number. There's 18 of you, 19 now. So I assume there's people here, but feel free to yell at me in the chat. But yeah, I think the introduction was perfect. I'm a technical marketing advocate at Unity on the academic and nonprofit team. So what that means is I'm a Unity certified instructor, Unity certified programmer that works with universities and high schools and nonprofits to help them teach real-time 3D, whether that's a little bit of art or a little bit of code or just general ideas of how to teach Unity in the classroom. I kind of just jumped out of everything. So I want to do this session on just like how you can use a bunch of really cool available tools in Unity to build prototypes. And then we'll kind of freeform it from there. I would love to know, to start things though, first of all, there should be a poll if you click on the polls. And I want to start everything off with that survey of how well do you know Unity? So you've got 3 answers there. I've used it or another game engine a ton. I've used it once or twice, or I've actually never touched a game engine. So go right ahead, fill that out. I believe next to chat, there's a polls button. You click that, and then you can submit a response. Like I'll say that I've used Unity a ton because I use it every day. And I'll try not to cough into the microphone too much. Let's see, session, chat. All right, here we go. Cool. All right, we got some votes coming in. So we got quite a few have never touched a game engine. We've got someone that's used it a ton. That's me. And then I see someone using that or another game engine once or twice. Okay, cool. Perfect. And really the reason I'm doing this is to just get a feel for you all to know how comfortable y'all are so that, you know, if everybody in here is an industry veteran who's been working in the game industry for 30 years, I can change my speech so that it's not boring to you, right? So that it's something exciting. Yeah, so we'll see there. So we're at a pretty good point. It looks like most people have never touched a game engine. So we're going to start at the beginning, and we're going to go over some stuff. So first of all, I'm going to say a term real-time 3D a lot through this presentation. Real-time 3D is the ability to quickly render detailed images in 3D. So if you take the word quickly in that statement and replace it with real time, you've basically given it its own definition, right? You made a circular definition. It's really the idea that if I want to see a 3D something on a screen, I can do it quickly. And that's very different from, you know, say post-rendered films or something where you have to render each individual frame one at a time and use, you know, big server farms or whatever to kind of go through that. Rena, no problem at all. So good to be here doing the thing. So real-time 3D platforms like Unity, we have a stack of included solutions that let you focus as a creator on the stuff that you want to do without solving problems that have already been solved, right? My big example is, you know, I'm not good at math. I mean, I'm okay at it, but I'm not amazing at it. I also am not a physicist. So if you ask me like what angle or what the refractive property of a piece of metal is going to be when light hits it at a certain time of day, I can't tell you that. I have no idea. But Unity has a built-in lighting engine that is already calculating it and doing that math for you. So instead of you worrying about all the different values and the fall off of the light reflection and all that stuff, you just know that if you put a spotlight of X intensity over something, things will reflect and act correctly, right? And you can create these beautiful, wonderful experiences. So real-time rendering has actually improved a lot in the last 30 years. This is a screenshot of the best video game ever made, Final Fantasy VI. And if you look at it, you can tell it's beautiful, right? It's a 16-bit engine. They're getting a lot of color out of it, a lot of depth. They're using a lot of like blending of whites and grays and purples and everything to really get some cool depth. But if you jump forward just a few years, 20-ish, you get this beautiful image from Ori and the Blind Forest, right? Which is absolutely gorgeous. And you can see that still being 2D, you can see like the beautiful light glares on the orbs down here. You've got these nice little halo effects here, but all kinds of different color radiance, right? And then we jump forward to Abe's Odyssey, which was made in Unity about 3 years ago. And it looks beautiful. It looks lifelike. See, Robert? Exactly. Graphics. And these are all done in like a real-time engine. And that has just been incredibly better over time and time again. Brian, I also really, really, really like Ori and the Blind Forest. And so, excuse me, my throat's a bit dry. So as we think about this, you start to accept and realize like all the cool stuff that you can do with real-time 3D now, right? As graphics and then rendering gets better. And you start to look at tools through Unity, like this beautiful Lion demo that just came out at GDC. This is all done in engine. This is not post-rendered, and none of this is filmed. I'm not sure if you heard the sound or not. So this scene was done with a combination of Weta Digital Tools, Ziva, which is an AI and machine learning based rigging and rendering setup, SyncSketch. It's incredible, right? And this demo, let's see if I can get away from this on the slide now. Oh no, don't play it again. Pause. All right. So, excuse me. So these animals are completely fake, but they look almost real. And that's all done in real time. And that's all simulated. Everything from the shadows to the fur, the way it's falling off. These plants back in here were all created with SpeedTree. All these textures were generated with Unity Art Tools. And you get these beautiful, incredible effects, right? So that is just one of the many powerful things you can think of when you're talking about like real-time 3D and like what it's impacting. So now that we've got you a little bit excited, I think this is, let me see how many slides I've got here. I can't really remember. Actually, no, we'll even open my speaker notes. So I'll let you guys see behind the scenes a little bit. Yeah, perfect. So I want to talk to you about some of the tools you can use when you want to build prototypes in Unity. Because one of the things people think is like, oh man, I'm going to sit down in real-time 3D and I'm going to make this incredible game and it's going to be the next Assassin's Creed or the next whatever. And when I'm working on stuff, it's a lot of prototypes and a lot of doing what I call what's called kit bashing, where I'm just putting a lot of assets together to build things and test ideas. And so I want to talk to you through a few tools that we actually utilize and recommend when you're doing that. So the first one is called ProBuilder. So ProBuilder is included with Unity. It's completely free. And it actually is a 3D mesh tool that lets you build out like environments and worlds all inside the engine without having to worry too much about, modeling in a different program. So it's really, really great for prototyping, and it's really, really well put together. The next thing are the Unity terrain tools. These are, again, included in Engine, but they let you build these really beautiful terrains. You can paint textures and different layers on them to create the world and feels. And then the Unity Asset Store. I like to talk about the Unity Asset Store when I'm talking about prototyping because, again, you should work smart, not hard. And the Asset Store has a ton of things, whether it be art, whether it be code, of things that have already been solved and built so that you can test your ideas and build things quicker and faster. And there's one more we'll talk about, but I didn't make a slide for it, and it's called Cinemachine. But we'll see if we have time to get into that or not to kind of jump into testing these real-time environments. So I'm going to pop open the engine right now, and this is Unity 2021.3. This is the long-term support version of Unity. What that means is about every year, we release the most stable build of what we consider the engine for that year, and we make it long-term support, which means we're going to continue to update it and patch it for up to 2 to 3 years. And then next year, 2022 LTS will come out and so on. So LTS stands for long-term support. And this is a project I was working on. I'm actually working on making like a VR walkthrough of my house just to keep my VR skills sharp. But let's go ahead and go File, New Scene, and we'll open a basic 3D scene. And we start up kind of in the basic Unity scene. So a couple windows in Unity to think about. This is the hierarchy window here on the left. Anything that appears in this window is going to be in my game scene. At runtime, it's there. So this is actually what's there. This is my project window. So these are the assets that I've added into the project and what I can get access to. And then this over here is the inspector. If I click on like my main camera, this gives me all the information about the object I've connected to. So this is my camera. So this tells me, okay, where's the camera rendering to? Here's all the rendering details. Here's the environment information, how it thinks about the skybox. So all these different components attached to it that make it work like a camera. So the first thing I'd want to do is start using ProBuilder. So Unity has this really great feature called the Package Manager. And in the Package Manager, I'm going to let that load up really quick. Uh-oh, is it mad at me because I'm not signed in? Let me refresh and see. Yep. All right, let's sign in really quick. Hope you're all excited to watch a man sign in live. Dun, 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 signing in. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we're done. Signed in. So we go back here. We'll refresh again. And we're going to pull up all of our asset lists. So these are all of the assets that you can get access to. These are my assets. So when you go to the asset store for Unity, which I'll show you right now, you can actually go through and search any of these tools and find things that you would want to add to your project. So for example, the Dragon Crashers 2D project, which is a super fun 2D project to work through, all kinds of things. The Odin Inspector, which is a really popular indie tool, or Final IK, which is for animation. All this stuff you can grab, and it's anywhere from free to 50 to $100, depending on, how in depth the tool is and what the creator wants to charge for it. But once you've added something to your inventory, it shows up in this package manager. And what you're going to see that I've added here is, I think I've added some terrain textures HD. And then I've also added a few, basically a third-person character controller to make sure I can move my characters around. But if I flip over to the Unity registry, these are all the things that Unity provides that you can add to your project. So I've got Cinemachine here, which is going to be really important. And then I've also got ProBuilder right here. So if you didn't have it, you would click here, and where this remove button is, there's a button that says install. But I did it for the sake of the demo because I wanted to make sure there was time for like Q&A and chatting. And then also if you can't tell, I like to talk, so I can fill time really easily. I wanted to make sure there was plenty of time for all y'all to see what's going on here. Also, while we're going through this, I would love to know more about everybody in the chat. So like if you're a college student, college teacher, a career person, whatever, like drop it in the chat. Let me know. We do have some pretty cool stuff we do for students and educators as well. So I'll be happy to share that information out. Oh, Robertson High School. All right, dope. Hey, same. You can still get a free copy of the engine if you're in high school. So that's what matters. Okay. So this is our scene view. So the scene view is where you're going to control and manipulate everything. And then the game view is where you're going to see your final product. So when you hit play to go, you're going to see your final product hanging out right there in the game. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go to my window and I'll actually jump over to Tools, ProBuilder, and click up the ProBuilder window. And I have it docked right now. Hopefully you can see this okay. But this gives me a bunch of different tools I can work with. And so I'm going to start with the new shape. So this gives me all these different primitive shapes I can build. In the world of Unity or real-time 3D, primitives are like cubes, spheres, capsules, pyramids, like basic, think of like basic geometric shapes made 3D. Those are primitives. So we're going to start with a cube. And to make this cube, let me see if I can even see where. I'm going to turn my grid on. There we go. We'll just kind of start by clicking on this grid corner here, and then we'll stretch it out to like maybe this grid corner. And then we'll kind of stack it like there's good, and then we'll stack it up. So now I've made a cube. Cool. I have a cube. That's the whole demo. I hope you all have a great night. That's how you make a cube. Okay. Thank you. I knew Joanne would love it. So now that we have this built, we can kind of start doing work on the cube and make some changes to it, right? So this is where our editing tools come in really handy. So you can pick the whole object. You can pick just the vertices. So vertices are points, right? And a collection of points will then combine to make a face, and a collection of faces will make a mesh. So we can also click on faces. Oh, sorry, this is edges. And then I can click on faces. So I'm going to use the face tool here. And I think I want to make a bridge. So I'm going to select this front face, and I'll use F to kind of highlight it and frame it. And then I can click subdivide faces right here. And you're going to see these little gray lines. So that now the face is broken into 4 parts, right? But I actually want to do it one more time. I'm going to subdivide these 4 faces again. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll take these pieces here. I feel like I needlessly did that, but that's all right. I'm going to do it anyway. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to do a different thing. I'm going to make you drop onto the bridge. So we'll grab these 4, and then we can click extrude faces. So let's go see detach film, conform, flip. Let's see. Extrude should be right here by detach faces. So why am I not seeing extrude faces? Oh, there it is, extrude. So if I hit plus, it'll bring up my extrude tool, and I can choose how far. Let's just say 5. All right, cool. So now I've pulled this face out, and I made this little platform, right? Bridges should be longer than that. So I'm going to grab the Z-axis and just kind of stretch. Yeah, I think that looks good. We'll do that. So we've made a bridge, and now we probably want to create like another platform or another piece. And we can kind of keep building off of the same idea. So let's grab these faces. We'll close the extrude tool. We'll subdivide the faces a couple of times. Boop, boop. And let's grab all of these faces. And then we'll extrude them again. So we'll want to go a little lower because maybe our character can't jump that high. And then let's grab this and extrude it out. And we'll grab this and extrude it out. Cool. And then we'll grab all of these faces. So I'm really just kind of creating like a quick level layout, right? Using my face selection tool and all these faces. And I can say, all right, we'll extrude this. Beautiful. It's a platform. All right, so let's start there. This is our starting platform. And I've done all of this using a single tool, using ProBuilder. And this is pretty basic. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do with ProBuilder. And all the documentation is available online, of course. But I've started by making this kind of walking pathway level here. I'm trying to think what other cool stuff I should add. We probably need a doorway. So let's go back to my ProBuilder and go new shape. Let's see, what are you? You're an arch, right? Scale the shape. I think this is an arch. So we'll grab an arch and we'll put an arch like right here. So I just like messed that arch up. I did. There we go. Make like a nice little arch like that. And the nice thing is once you've made the shape, you can grab these little handles and you can adjust it after the fact. So if we look at this, we can tell like, okay, it needs to be wider, maybe a little bit wider over here. Let's see, we'll just kind of straighten it. Okay. I'll switch to my snapping tool and we'll actually snap it up like that. How does that look? A little bit off, but we can scale that up and fix it. That's good enough. And then we'll move it over just a bit so it's kind of sitting in the middle here, and then we'll pull it down so it kind of intersects. So now we have like a tunnel here casting a shadow that we can run through. And we can basically dive in and create all these things. So now we have this kind of setup. We want to dive in and like maybe put like an environment so that the rest of the world kind of makes sense, right? Because right now we just have this platform floating in the middle of nowhere. And that's where, these terrain tools come in really, really handy. So again, in the hierarchy, I can right click or I can push plus right up here on the top left. And let's go to 3D object. There it is. And then we're going to pick terrain. So we're going to make a new terrain. And now we have this big giant plane. I'm just going to scoot it so that my floating object is kind of in the middle of things right here. We'll kind of look at it here. Yeah, so you can kind of see my piece is just floating in the middle here, right? And the idea is this terrain might get interacted with, but I also just want to create like ambiance or a world that it's surrounded by. So with that, let's go to the inspector and select the terrain. And I have these terrain editing tools at my disposal. So this is like creating a neighboring terrain. This is going to paint the terrain. This will paint textures. I actually want to paint the terrain. And now I can choose like what I want to do with the terrain. So let's do this shape here. Let's see, where's my raise and lower terrain button? So I'll click here and go to raise or lower terrain. And now as I kind of left click and drag, I'm just like creating these terrain raises. And if I want to shrink them, I just shift click down. Let's just kind of make some like nice little hills around here. Maybe we make like a long string of hills that kind of build up. Let's go focus in on our cube a bit so we can put some stuff around the cube. Maybe the cube is surrounded. Whoop, that's probably too big. Let's just shrink that down a bit. We can kind of like, maybe the cube is like in like a mountain valley. So we'll kind of surround it like this. And then, that's right, we're world building. You know what? stars aren't real. Let's do stars. Whoop, whoop. Do some cool star mountains around here. Kind of create it here. Maybe we go to the edges. And then if we want to get really wild, I would just grab these stars and let's make some really, really, really tall mountains around the sides here. So we're kind of setting like a darker earthly tone here. As you can see, I'm a wonderful artist with very precise movements and strokes, making sure that everything is exactly where I want it. I'm definitely not just left clicking and dragging wildly. Let's actually go into over here and maybe we can do something a little more subtle on this corner. We'll do like a corner raise and a corner raise over here as well. Yeah, cool. All right, so if we click here, let's go back to our cube, focus in. Now our cube is kind of nested in something kind of a little bit better, right? And so using this, we can focus in on getting some color added to our scenes. Because right now it's just this default texture UV thing, right? Just the checkerboard. It's not as fun. It's not as exciting. So back to our terrain, we can actually go here and click paint holes, or we can paint textures. I'm actually going to paint some holes. I'm going to cut some holes in this thing. Yeah, you get a hole if it'll let me. That's not. I guess today was not the day to paint holes. So let's go ahead and paint a texture. So right here, I have this terrain layers option. And in the terrain layers option, you can choose like what the layers of the terrain are and then paint onto them. So the first layer I pick is going to be the base layer. So let's add a layer. And I have a list of all these terrains I've downloaded. All of these I actually downloaded from the Unity Asset Store. It's called, I think these are called the Unity Asset Sample Pack or the Unity Terrain Assets Sample Pack. So it's just a bunch of some of our favorite terrains, right? And I think the base of this is going to be, let's say muddy. Let's make it muddy. All right, so the base of this world is going to be like a muddy terrain. So you just kind of have this like muddy, shiny brownness going on, right? I don't know if anybody in the chat played Super Mario World, but this reminds me of Chocolate Island and Mario World, one of my favorite worlds. But we can now add more layers. So let's add a new layer here. And this time let's see, I don't know what a heather terrain layer is, but that seems dangerous. Let's do some grass and soil. So now I have this grass and soil. I can kind of come in and start painting it in as a filler, maybe around the base of these mountains, right? Because it wouldn't make sense. I mean, there could be grass on all these mountains, but I live in Utah. Around here, we're in the Rocky Mountains. Mountains are very rocky. They're very sharp and jagged. And that's kind of what I like to see. So I'm just going to paint below here. Yeah, there's the Mario world. So we'll just paint some grass right along the insides of this valley. Maybe back over here, maybe back over here. And then let's add a new layer. Let's see, add layer. I think I had a rock layer. So let's take this rock layer and put some, oops, got to select it first. And let's paint some rock on top of these mountains. So we'll make these peaks a little rocky. Just kind of drag them over like that. Maybe kind of do it so it spreads and feathers. I think these ought to be rocky as well. Just kind of pull it back. This one definitely got to be big rocky. Yeah, and we'll just kind of start working on painting these in. And again, these are just fun creative tools you can mess with to kind of create your world and give it depth. And I like to do this when I'm prototyping something sometimes, just because on top of like testing systems, it gives a feel of the environment I want to set in kind of an art direction. So it's not a bad way to go. All right, let's add one more layer. I think I have a snow layer. I do. So maybe this peak back here is probably really high up, right? Sure. We'll say this is a huge elevation. So let's select this and let's just make it snowy. We'll put a snow peak there. Maybe I shrink this brush size down just a little bit. Maybe not that small. Maybe 5 is too small in a big terrain. That looks better. We'll put some snow over here. Let's see where else we can add snow. Ooh, let's put like a little bit like some snow-capped peaks right here. And maybe like right there. Ooh, this one definitely needs to be snowy. Look at that. All right, cool. And then I think the only thing I would want to add is maybe a layer of sand. Oh, no, we want to do pebbles. Uh-oh. We might have broken everything. Okay, we're good. Whew. I think it was just processing the different layers. So let's do some pebble layers. So this is just like beach pebbles, rock pebbles. So maybe with the sand, the grass, we can mix some of that. Like, oh, there's pebbles in here too. And then maybe around this like grassy area, we'll give some pebble texture just to kind of clean it and spread it. And then I like to go to like kind of a feathered edge brush when I'm doing this so that it blends nicely. Oop, maybe this thing. so that it looks like it's kind of blending out naturally and you're not just putting layers. But again, I'm not an artist, so there's probably a couple artists in the chat that are like, I could do this better. And the answer is, with time, you probably could. But we're going to do this in 45 minutes or less. All right. So now we can look at my camera and it looks a little weird. So to place the camera, I'm going to frame in on here a little bit. I think we should probably zoom in like that. We'll grab the camera, and in Unity, if you hit Control-Shift-F, it will allow you to snap in the object to the viewport window. So I'm just going to try to get my camera kind of in like this view so I can look and say, like, all right, we're just looking down at this platform and kind of feeling out how it goes. And now that I have things like this, I can add some more stuff for this platform. And I think I want to work with the faces again. Did I make 2 of these? Or did this get moved? Oh, you know what? I didn't move my arch. I moved the cube and left the arch alone. I abandoned the arch. Don't abandon your arches, friends. Always protect them. There we go. So let's grab some faces on this cube. Maybe we make like a little 3-piece bridge coming off this. And we'll go back to our Pro Builder window, hit the extrude faces. Let's pull this bridge like way out. Yeah, I like that. And I believe if I go to new shape, I should have the option to build. Let's grab another cube. And this time we'll start the cube here, like this. I'm going to pull it through as if like a big cement thing was put on top of the mountain. Maybe like that? Yeah, I think so. And we definitely don't want it that thick. We don't want this thick boy. We're going to shrink it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's better. And then we'll go to the rotate tool, and we're going to rotate it like a ramp. So maybe we have cars, and like the whole point of this mission is to jump cars off of this super cool ramp over the mountain. Maybe that's not a good idea. Don't try this at home. Maybe do. We'll just kind of move some of these shapes in. And really what I'm doing is I'm blocking out shapes with Pro Builder to just kind of set up the environment the way I want it. A game that's a really good example of powerful use of Pro Builder, if anybody in the chat has played Tunic, Tunic is the environment is done massively with Pro Builder. That's a great question, Tony. You'll have to ask the organizers. They have my full permission to record, and they are recording, so I assume it will be. But I would assume if they're recording it, they're going to upload that recording. So let's hope so. All right, let's say this is our ramp. So it's going to have this kind of rough edge ramp here. I think that's good enough. So when you hit it, you're going to kind of have this weird bump. Let's say that we didn't do very well in our construction class, and so we're just kind of guessing as best we can when we build this thing. Awesome. They will be providing the recording. Thank you, Julia. And you know what we can do to make this even out even more? Let's go back to which cube was it that I was messing with here? Look at this one. Yeah, we'll grab the face tool. We'll grab this lower face, and we're just going to extrude it right through like that. Look at that. Now it's connected. It's beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so we've kind of built this structure, this spacey structure in the middle of this mountainous gray-green valley with these pebble beaches. Let's use some other assets that we pulled in to kind of create some stuff. So looking at, see if I have the Unity Asset Store up still. One of these millions tabs. Okay, yep. So looking at the Unity Asset Store, one of the things I grabbed was Unity's third-person character controller, because you can write your own character controller. I've written a bunch of them. If you're a programmer, most programmers have written a ton of character controllers, right? But here's the thing. Unity starter assets have a third-person character controller you can use for testing for free. So right here, I've already added it to my project. That's why it says open in Unity. But this is a really great asset that's completely free that you can get into and test. And it comes with this little robot character. So jumping back to Unity, we have our nested prefab here. Let's see, player armature. This is what we want. So we're going to drop a player right here, and I'm just going to zoom in on him. And here's our robot. Looking pretty good, hey, robot? The nice thing is, if I move... Oops, I don't want to mess with those. I want to mess with the robot. Robot. Where's my pivot point for the robot? Is it below the level? Robot, why can't I move you? Oh, because I need to be in object mode. So we'll scoot the robot up a little bit. So let's go look at our main camera framing, and let's pull it in a little bit on this robot. So maybe like so. Yeah, cool. So when I hit play, this is testing at runtime. So this is testing everything in my game right now. All right, so our robot is going to fall down a little bit and land. We can kind of start exploring our little space base, right? See if I can jump up this ledge. All right, cool. I made it high enough. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so now we have a character in the scene. And I just did that in 30 seconds because I downloaded it from the asset store, right? And when you're building a prototype, if your prototype is specifically a third-person game and you're just trying to test for fun, this is a great way to do it because then you're not saying, okay, I need to write up the character controller, get into all the minutiae of the coding. Oh, and I need to design the character. This is like, no, we're going to use the robot. We're going to test with the robot. And then you can start replacing assets as you get in art direction. So for whatever reason, when I was building this workshop, my brain was kind of focused on like the Red Planet vibe, Mars, that kind of thing. And so I went ahead and downloaded another really cool asset pack. Let me go see. Oh, that's a great question. So ProBuilder puts everything inside of Unity. But if you wanted to export your ProBuilder assets, you can, I believe, export them as an FBX or an OBJ. So these are actually just like a Unity proprietary format inside of it. But if you were going to export them from Unity for some reason, you should be able to send them out as FBX or OBJ, which is a similar format that you can export from Maya, 3ds Max, Blender, that type of stuff. But I'm using this inside of Unity as opposed to building everything and say like a 3ds Max or a Maya or a Blender and bringing it in because it's just a prototype. So I'm not building like all the final art assets or anything. But you can also build final art assets in Unity, which is kind of cool. Okay, so this is ready. It's locked. It's loaded. The next thing I want to do is kind of set the tone. So let me click here and we'll jump to the asset store again. And I'm trying to remember what let's go to my assets so I can show you because I buy a lot of assets. So the one that I grabbed, where is my 4K? There's the brick and wood textures. Oh, maybe it is on page 1. Oh, right here. See, updated to the Universal Render Pipeline. No, where is it? Well, let's see if I can find it right quick. Otherwise, I'll stop boring you. So here's that terrain pack we're using right there. The terrain sample asset pack. Huh. I'm not seeing. Oh, here they are. Skybox Series Free. So they have a paid version of this if you're actually going to take it to production. But I'm using the Avionics' free Skybox for this right now. Again, I'm testing, right? And if I decided to take this and ship it, the licensing would require that I pay them for their package to keep it in my game. So to change out the Skybox, you can change your lighting settings in Windows in Unity. So I'm going to hit Window. We'll scroll on down to Rendering and go to Lighting, and it's going to pull up my lighting window. And if you look right here in my environment, you'll notice my Skybox is set to the default Skybox. And because of that, it's just kind of this, you've got a little sun up here, and you just kind of have this like gray to blue fade. So I'm going to change this. And there's a Skybox that this came with that I really, really liked called Unearthly Red. Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful. So now I have these dark red clouds. I have sky streaks. If I look around, I can see kind of some space feels. There's a moon off in the distance. There's this bright red sun coming through with some orb. And notice how it kind of casts like a red eerie glow on the rest of my planet. Like it gives everything kind of a vibe, right? And look at my model. My model that was all gray is now my hero, my robot. We'll call him Max. Max is reflecting all this red light that he's getting because of the ambient lighting system in Unity. Again, I didn't have to calculate anything, right? I did no math. I just said, put this really bright red skybox that someone designed for me in, and it said, hey, cool, everything's going to reflect this light a little bit. And so now we kind of get this really moody shot of our dude hanging out on the red planet. And kind of run around and see kind of that feeling we get. Pretty cool, huh? So now where I thought would be fun to do, since most people have never used a game engine, I thought it would be really fun see if I can do it in 15 minutes to actually write like a camera follow behavior. It's going to be super basic, but to give you a feel for like what the C# scripting is like inside of Unity, I thought that would be interesting. That would be kind of exciting. And again, I'm just trying to show different angles of the engine and different things you can do. And then we'll actually jump into all the resources available to you and all the things you can look at and use to learn. Because some of you are probably sitting in the chat right now like, all right, so this dude just did in 20 minutes what it was going to take me forever to do. And it's true, like your first time doing this stuff, it's going to be harder. But the rad thing about my team and the rad thing about Unity is we provide a ton of learning resources that are accessible for all skill levels and all age levels. And they're all available on learn.unity.com, and they're completely free. All you do is click into there. If you want to track your progress, you just create a Unity ID. It's the same thing you would use when you're signing into the engine. And then you can go through and learn a ton of stuff for free. There's stuff I've taught. There's stuff a bunch of my colleagues have taught. There's also sometimes online learning series you can go to for free. It's just a really, really good resource. So if you're watching this and you're like, this is crazy, I never want to touch this again, this dude's out of his mind, you're right, but only about the out of my mind part. Everything else, this is super fun, super accessible, and Learn has all the content you need to get through it. I'll show you the pathways and everything. So we've got our character here, and let's just write like the world's most basic follow script. And if anybody in the chat has done C# before, I don't know, type a 1 or a 7 or something, let me know. But I'm going to right click in my project folder and go to create, and I'll choose C# script, and we'll call this follow the player camera. Okay, really got a Y. We got a Y here. Okay, cool. We made this follow the player script, and then I'm going to go ahead and double click it. And I really wish, I don't know what this notification is. Oh, it's that. Okay, stop notifying me. Cool. And we'll pull it up. So we've created a new Unity script. It's all based on C#. And once this finishes loading my project, I can show you exactly what it is and what it does. Okay. Loading. Yeah, gotta hydrate. If you don't hydrate, then you won't be healthy. Water is important when giving presentations, especially when you're talking. For whatever reason, when I'm presenting, I talk twice as loud as when I do at home, which just adds like throat drain, dry throat. Or maybe is it this, shift this, control this. There we go. Okay. I'm going to zoom my script up a little bit for you all. So this is Visual Studio Community Edition. It's completely included with Unity. It's free. If you don't download it with your Unity install, you can actually go and download it from Microsoft directly. And every Unity script has two things that it starts with. There's a start method and an update method. Start is exactly what it means. It means when this object that I'm attached to starts, comes into being, do the thing, do whatever is inside these brackets. And then update is called every single frame. So most games run at 60 frames a second. So that means every update method is called 60 times per second. And we use this for instances where we need stuff to feel very responsive and very smooth and snappy, because we want that change to happen every single frame. If the change of the object is constant, or we're listening for, say, button inputs or things like that, that's where update is really useful. It's also dangerous because if you put too much stuff in update, it can make your processing really slow, right? Because you're doing all of those things 60 times a second over and over and over again, and you can start bogging down your processor. So think about that when you're coding. But for the case of this, since it's basic, we'll use update a little bit. So the first thing we'll need to do is get a reference to the object we want to follow. And I'm going to make everything public. I'm going to be a bad coder tonight. So we'll just say public transform. I'll show you what a transform is in a second, but it's basically the rotation position of the object. And we'll call this object to follow. And then let's see, we're also going to need a value to follow, like the distance to follow at. So we'll make a vector 3 and we'll call that follow distance. The reason we use a vector 3 is because in the 3D world, you're thinking about X, Y, and Z, right? X is usually left to right, Y is up and down, and Z is front to back. And so we store those in a vector 3 value because vector 3s are X, comma, Y, comma, Z. And so we can get those pieces really easily. Let's see what else. So I think the camera, we're going to leave the camera by default. So we're not going to do anything with that. We'll just leave it alone. And I think for now, those are the first two things we want. So let me show you what I'm talking about with this word transform. So when we look at a transform, every game object in the scene has a transform. It's this right here. And the reason they do is because the transform stores the position, rotation, and scale of the object. So it tells us where the object is, which way it's facing, and how big it is, right? Now, so we want to know all that information, and we store that inside of a transform. So you can imagine when we're moving stuff around, we use the transform a lot because we can just say transform.position, and that tells us where the object is. Or we can say transform.position equals, and we can set the position of the object, right? And that's what we're going to do with the camera. So let me think about what else we'd want to do. We're going to attach it to the camera, so we don't need to make a reference to that. So I think the next thing I would want to do is just kind of figure out how to face this. So I would say, you know what, let's get a reference to the camera just so y'all can kind of see what I'm thinking of. So I'm going to do public camera main. Actually, I'm not going to make it public. I'm just going to leave it like this so that it's private. Private means that only the script internally can access it, nothing outside. And inside of start, right when it boots up, I'm going to get the camera. So I'll say main equals camera.main. So we have a cached reference to it. So now we have the camera here. And now we can go into update and say, okay, what needs to happen? So we'll say main.transform.position equals. So main is the camera, right? Which we made, camera main, equals what? So it's going to equal the object to follow.position plus the follow distance. Basically, we'll tell it what the follow distance is, and we'll say, cool, set the camera to the position of the character plus the follow distance. And we'll add that follow distance to it. Now that we've done that, we can take this script and we can drag it onto our main camera here. And what we want to do now is we want to frame this camera in a position that we think looks good for a third person. So for now, let's just put it right here, maybe like right there, and we'll kind of snap it. And then if you want to be really careful about it, which I do, I'm going to make this an exact 10, this an exact 10, and this an exact -7, just so that my numbers are accurate. But now if we look here, we'll notice that our character is kind of off center. So maybe like a 9. Oh, nope, maybe a 9.5. 9.75. There we go. Okay, that's it. So these are our numbers here, right? But then on this script we made, we can tell it, all right, we want you to follow the player. So we'll drag the player on the object of follow. And then we need to figure out a follow distance. So let's see. So this is the camera positioning. I would say we'd want it to be 0x behind the player, right? But we want the height of 10 and the z of -7. So I think we'd want to go 10 minus 7 like that. And let's see how that works out. I'll go ahead and hit play. All right, we're way too far away now. So right now we're very high up, right? And when I move left, when I move right, when I move forward, the camera kind of follows. And it's kind of, notice how it's kind of like chunky? But the camera looks like it's kind of hiccuping. You can kind of see it on these edges here, like it's a little bit upset at us. Let's see, let's go up here. Can we get up here? Yeah, totally. And then we'll go into our little thing. Uh-oh, can we go over here? We'll go through this, and then do I have an uphill? I do, okay. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, see how our player is kind of like chugging as he runs? Oh no, the train. Actually, that's kind of cool with the train bursting through. And then we can run here, and then we get to the edge. What happens if we jump off the edge? Oh no. Oh, we're still good. We're on the train now. So that's kind of a good looking piece here, but I think I gotta hit escape to get my mouse back. I think we're way too high as far as the height on this, right? Like, yeah, I think this offset is just way too big. So I'm gonna cut this in half to a 5, and we'll say -4. And now let's hit play and see what that looks like. And I want to talk about what I'm doing here in just a sec and kind of give you all a, yeah, that's much better. I like that more already. We run, we're still getting chugging. Okay, so the chugging is because the character is being moved in update, and then the camera is trying to snap to it. Actually, I think the character is a physics-based controller, so it's probably fixed update. So I'm going to change this to match up. The only difference between update and fixed update is a physics step, so it does it a little bit less, but that way the camera should be smoother. theoretically, or I've just made everything worse because I'm trying to do a live tech demo. One of the two things are going to happen here. Both will be fun. Yeah, no, I actually made it like way worse. Look how much worse that is. Whoa, it's so bad. Okay. So instead of that, we'll just do late update. So it'll basically late update happens right before the frame finishes. So it'll be remove the character, then remove the camera, and hopefully that smooths this out. If it doesn't, we only have 15 minutes, so we're going to give up. It is absolutely possible to reprogram and edit them. So everything that you see attached, oh, there we go. That's nice. It's moving now with late update. That looks beautiful. So everything you see attached to these objects here, these are all components, and components are C# scripts. So if we go to our player armature, we have this third-person controller script. So if I wanted to go in and make changes to it, I could click this little kebab menu and go to edit script. And here is their here's their code. Here's the component. So I could actually go in and modify this if I wanted to make changes and adjust it for my own uses. Just like that. Here's all their variable declarations. Here's all their different floats that move things. And here's how they get everything working. So I could go in and change all of this. I'm not going to because that would break everything during this demo, but it's totally possible. You can also get access to variables inside it if you need information from this script in your own scripts too. So it's all possible to edit those, update those, learn from those, or, get data from them as you're integrating your own systems, however you want to go about it. I'm trying to think of what other fun stuff we can do. I don't think I have any speed tree assets loaded. We kind of have this fun little thing set up. Let's make some colors. So like this is kind of gray and boring. Let's pretend that we actually care about our runway here. So this box will do first. If I right click, I'll create. I'll go to material. And a material is what defines like the color, the metallicity or the clarity of an object, the smoothness. It lets us know all the details about how the light should reflect off the surface. And let's say that we work at a pink space station, because if I had to pick a dream color for a space station, actually that looks way too close to the material missing color. So let's make it a little bit like that. Maybe like that pink. I would love to work at a pink space station. How cool would that be? What space station do you work at? Oh, I work at the pink one. Yeah, let's throw in here. And then let's make this, instead of this being gray, let's make this like a black tunnel, because that's a really good idea in the desert. It's like anything that just absorbs heat. We'll say that our designers were not ready to make anything. They were like, yeah, we're just going to do this however we want. We're going to do pink and black. And so we'll just grab this color here, set it to black. And then let's make it as metallic as possible. Loading. There we go. Yeah, cool. Now the sun reflects off it on the corner, and we've made our pink and black space base. Okay, 6:48. I believe this is a 1 hour-ish session. So that's all the engine stuff we're going to do. I want to show you, if you're like, this is really cool, I want to go learn Unity right away today. Awesome, I've done my job. What I want to show you now is how you can do that. So learn.unity.com is completely free for everybody. You can be young, you can be old, you can be in America, you can be somewhere else. It does not matter. It is free. And these are all of the things we have ready for you to learn to work in Unity. So the first thing I would recommend is going to Pathways. If you have never touched a 3D game engine, or you're just not comfortable in Unity yet, I would start with Unity Essentials. This from the jump will get you ready to work on everything. It'll teach you kind of how the engine thinks about stuff, how you can move objects, resize objects, rotate objects. It gives you all of that information. Next, if you want to get into coding, Junior Programmer is your route. This path takes about 12 weeks, but by the end of it, you have portfolio pieces and you're ready to go forward and program more and start looking for junior programmer positions. Creative Core is more focused on the art side. It's everything that you can do in the engine involving art, rendering, materials, lighting, textures, the whole 9 yards, particle systems, VFX, all of that. So if you're into that, jump on that. And then the latest one we just released is the VR development pathway. So if you want to make VR experiences, this will get you up and rolling on that and teach you how to develop for VR. A really cool thing about virtual reality that a lot of people don't realize is there's some differences But all the stuff you use to create real-time 3D experiences is the same stuff you're going to use to create a VR experience. Things just start to change with the way you interact with stuff a little bit, and also with the way it renders, because it's rendering on, a headset like this, so that changes things a little bit. But the skills, the coding, all that stuff, it's the same. And you can take any of the skills you learn here and apply it towards VR if that's what you're excited about. So now that you kind of know the pathways, again, learn.unity.com. Free, costs you none dollars. The next thing I want to tell you about is, let's see, Unity student plan. Let me show y'all. So this is actually a really cool thing that we do for students and educators. So if you are a student, if you're in high school, if you're in college, you can actually get access to Unity Pro for free. And the way you do that is you go to this URL right here that I'm going to drop in the chat for you all. Bop. And you scroll down. If you're in college, you click here. If you're in high school, you click here. And then you fill it out. Yes, Robert, you do have to renew it yearly. You'll get a notice. And you basically just sign in with your school email again, click renew. It'll send you the code and update it for you. But if you click here, please confirm that I'd like to apply for a student plan. I'm not going to, because I'm not a student, and that would be lying. And I don't, at least I try not to lie. That's not my goal. And if for some reason you're an educator watching this, guess what? You get one too. We do educator plans as well. And it's the same idea. You just log in and say which institution you're through. If you're US based, if you're a qualifying US, Canada, German, or if you're non-qualifying, they'll get you set. And then post-secondary. Here's a link for that. And I believe as a student, you also get some cool assets to use along with your program as well. So jump into those, check them out. And I hope this is really helpful for everybody. I'm happy to hang out for the next 8 minutes and answer any questions, comments, concerns any of y'all may have until our wonderful hosts, pull me off screen. So if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Donut. 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 You're very welcome, Rulin. I'm glad you had a good time. Trying to think of other cool stuff I can show you while we wait. Oh. Angela, you're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. Please check out this free stuff. It's what I think it's worth learning. Unity changed me. I was in production and product management well before, and now I get to make cool real-time experiences. So I like Unity. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, I'm glad you liked the cat. Robert, yes. Ooh, do we provide certification? You're hitting with the heavy questions. And the answer is yes, we do. Let me show you. So with Unity, there's a couple different certifications there's a bunch of different certifications, actually. I'm just going to Google it. Let me show you how good I am at my job. I just Google all of my stuff. I don't even know our own URLs. Let's see. Let's go search here. I'll search for certification. Boop. Perfect. So these are all the different certifications that we offer as a company. So if you're in high school, the one I recommend first to start with is Unity Certified User. We have Unity Certified User Programmer, Artist, and VR Developer. That helps you kind of figure out the basic stuff. Like, hey, I know how to use it. I understand how everything thinks. Your next step is Associate. This is going to basically let you know, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Then if you want to jump next, so I have the Unity Certified Professional Programmer certification. I work here. We also have a professional artist. And then once you've been in the industry 5+ years, you can get expert. Angela asks, how long did it take you to learn Unity to feel comfortable creating and designing? So I did most of my learning through video-based learning on Learn and through another company that I worked for that was building Unity training. I would say that to get comfortable moving stuff around and just basic stuff, it probably took me about 2 weeks. I would say, after that, it was probably about a year to a year and a half of practice before I got my professional certification. And now I've been working in Unity for about 5.5 years. And, there's still stuff I don't know, right? That's the beauty of something like this is a lifelong journey for me or for anyone that's in it, because there are people that work with Unity that have been developing and writing software for 20 plus years. And so there's just so much more they know that I don't know. And I hope to catch up to them one day, right? And learn from them. But, I would say that, 6 months to a year, using Unity to learn, practicing, putting time in, I think you'd be relatively confident and comfortable. And then from there, it's about just challenging yourself to find new things to do. One of my favorite things to do is if I'm playing a game and I really like a feature in the game, I try to recreate it in Unity. So a few months ago, I recreated like the random monster attack system in Pokemon, just because I was like, I wonder how they did random spawning. Let me see how I would do it. And I built that. I'm currently playing Cult of the Lamb right now, which came out yesterday, and I'm in love with that game. And there's a ton of features in that game I want to recreate because I think that game is just wondrous. So that's a kind of interesting way to think about it, is if there's something cool in a game you want to recreate, whether it's the art style, the certification, the art style, a certain system, a combat mechanic. For me, that's how I get better, is I challenge myself to do those things. And then, at the day job, they'll ask me to build prototypes for things, and then I have to go learn anyway. So. Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, I guess the final thing I should do, this is my LinkedIn. If any of y'all have questions, you can DM me here. You are also welcome to follow me on Twitter. Full disclosure, yes, I tweet game dev stuff, but I also tweet a lot of stuff about fighting games and my love of pizza. But those are the two things to find me on. Please send me messages. Let me know if you need anything. And thank you, Raina, for getting me involved in this. Thank you to the whole Hack 6 crew for letting us come through and do this. And I hope you all have an incredible hackathon weekend. Hope you all crush it. And it's been fun. See y'all. Be safe.
Thank you, Thomas. That was wonderful. I don't know. You're still on the line, right? I'm not just talking to it. Oh, no.
I'm still here.
Okay. I was like, am I just talking to myself right now? But no, just wanted to say a huge thank you for this excellent presentation and workshop. I definitely learned a lot, and it was pretty cool, especially coming from a non-technical background. I think one thing after this hackathon is to definitely explore the certifications that Unity has to offer. So thank you so much for this. It was wonderful. And I hope everyone in this chat, if you're still here or in this call, stay connected with Thomas, stay connected with Unity. It's a great learning opportunity. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. See y'all later. Good night.
Bye.